Good evening and welcome to the Abington Conservation Meeting. This is Monday, April 9th, 2018, and before us tonight as there is any old business, no old business seen. New business is discussion of surplus conservation land. And a note from the selectmen was they asked us to discuss it and then for us to determine if any land is, and what land we want to do as conservation land. So, anybody want to start first?
Well, my question is, does the town own all this land, or is the town taking it over? I'm gonna ask you a lot of questions, Jim.
There's a lot of questions pertaining to this land. I'm Jim Nombrowski, and I was on the Surplus Land Committee, and I was also on the original Open Space Committee back in 1987, which a lot of things go back to it.
I guess my first questions are,
Yep.
we have 2 sheets of paper in front of us for proposed land.
No, you have essentially one. There was 5 lists that the committee created for the Board of Selectmen. One was recommended to be surplus and sold, which is a separate list. Another list was existing conservation land, present day that's untitled. A list of recreation land, a list of no action land, and a list of properties that were for conservation review
Okay.
and consideration.
So this one,
How we came about this list is we took everything we could find online using all of our wetlands, wetland soils mapping, the FEMA floodplains and things of this nature, to make a determination of what property was either all wet, they had some buildable uplands, it was not considered in this list.
Okay, my question is that they came through with these 2
This list here is existing conservation land.
already existing that conservation is under control of.
It's either deeded or by town article. If you want to go through that process
Oh, no,
first.
no, that's fine, I just,
I think he's
So
just trying to make sure we
There's a
understand what's
There's a
here.
couple things I want to point out so that you're aware of it. On the existing conservation land, all those parcels are protected under the provisions, what they call Article 97.
okay,
There was a couple people who said you can't sell conservation land. Under the provisions of Article 97, you can if there's an extreme circumstance. But the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs has a specific policy that if you go through that process, 1, it has to be 100% unanimous voting, and 2, the land must meet equal or greater than value.
okay. Yeah, okay.
But
So
there's a strict policy.
This,
There's
to simplify, this is already, the town owns this, or conservation.
Conservation Commission owns this with the exception of 2 parcels. And as you look down there, you'll see,
Do I have that list?
I'll give you a
Sure.
copy if you need it.
Yeah,
Came in,
I didn't get it in my
okay,
packet.
then,
As you look down that list of existing conservation land, we'll give you a green one, how's that?
I don't care what color it is.
It'll
Thank
stand
you.
out. Anyone else need one?
I'll take one.
Sir, yeah, could you state your name?
My name is John Gations. I'm a new resident in town.
Oh,
oh, okay.
welcome.
Thank you.
As you go down the list of existing conservation land, you'll come to Thicket Street, which is the number 7.
Yeah.
That property was, back in 1973, the care, custody, and control of the land went to conservation. However, in 1999, the Surplus Land Committee at that time went through town meeting and declared it surplus. So there's a
And that-
catch-22 there.
I was gonna say, what, is it wet, do you know?
Oh, yeah, it's 100% wet.
So
It's right on the
And the,
Abington-Weymouth line.
Yeah, okay, no, right up, I know the property area. So why would they take it as surplus, okay, thank you.
I'm just making you aware that
Yeah,
it was,
yeah,
it was originally, by town meeting vote, given to conservation for the care, custody, and control of. It was never deeded.
Okay.
The other one that was never deeded is what it was called Tim's Pond on Lincoln Street. And that's, you go down
Number 14.
number 14. And that's 8.1 acres down there. That is all wet. it's got the stream run right
Well,
through
they
the
also
middle.
have 333,
Interesting thing about 333 Lincoln Street,
that's the surplus.
that's deeded conservation land. There's a deed on that property to conservation, but it was declared surplus by the same committee back in 1999.
No,
Yeah.
hasn't, nobody, we have never sold these, right,
No.
Jim? So,
It's just that they went through the process of having it declared surplus without going through the process.
okay,
But that list of 17 properties that shows there, all through there, are all ones that are deeded.
so these are deeded conservation land. We
Yes.
may have other space that is open, but, that we own, but this is the only ones that have
That is
conservation
the only one that I
restrictions
can
on them.
confirm by deed.
Right, they have conservation restrictions on them. Okay.
Correct.
All right,
What's with 33 Walnut Street?
33
Or 37 Walnut Street, number 10? That's good.
Walnut Street, that's map 10, page 37. That is a parcel of land, I believe it's the,
We should get that one.
Says right here,
Highlight.
parcels that the annual town meeting voted to convey to be protected under the MGL C40 S8C
Mass General Law,
Conservation.
Chapter 40, Section 8C.
Yeah, but have not been conveyed. ATM declared Thicket Street parcel surplus in 1999. So that would mean that it's going to be turned over to conservation, from the way I read it.
It was voted to be turned over to Conservation Commission, but there wasn't a deed executed to
Okay.
legally deed it to the Conservation Commission.
Okay,
okay.
all right, so that basically,
Now, in the process of reviewing conservation land and using the open space plan, we found about 7 or 8 properties there that were listed that we could find no town meeting article, nothing relating to Conservation Commission requesting those properties.
Okay,
I had tried contacting you and so did Ken Coyle, and we didn't get any response back, so the committee went through the process of declaring them all surplus or put on for review. I could find no evidence that the Conservation Commission ever went to town meeting to request it or anything of this nature. Now, out of the, I think 8 properties, there was 2, one on Ashland Street and one on Brockton Ave that were all wetlands. That would, but there was no article, no meeting that, talked about it or anything of that nature. And I went through a lot of town meeting articles.
I think there was a fellow on the commission back then that took the responsibility. He was supposed to go to your meetings, and then he got sick.
That was Cliff.
Yes.
Cliff Jacobs.
Yep.
I sent him a lot of information. It's the same information, but the process is, I want you people aware of it so that if you do any changes, those can be incorporated in your changes. They have to have a deed issued, converted over.
No.
how much is involved in converting the deed over, Jim?
Since it's tax title, I can't answer that. You'd have to find out from town council exactly what process you gotta go through. I don't think it's all that involved, because they've done it on other parcels. But I have copies of all the deeds on the other ones.
Okay,
Is this just a mistake here on Rockland Street? Oh, no, never mind, I got it. Never mind. It's not, it's okay, it's just was not over there. That's fine.
Let's get through the existing properties first. Essentially, I've gone through everything, and mine were the nice yellow ones that came offline. That's the existing list. If the open space study plan has any other properties, I could find nowhere where the town meeting article, Conservation Commission minutes, or anything discussed those properties.
these, the ones we're
Those are
talking.
the only ones that exist.
Okay, those are the only ones that exist.
But
So
we
this
We're
list,
not gonna discuss these, right?
No.
No.
No, but I'm just
For the
making you
sake of-
aware
Okay,
of
hold
those three particular properties that have issues to them.
there's an issue that the deed needs to be
Right,
fixed.
right.
So we need to make sure we don't forget to ask town
Well,
council
the
about
deed for
that.
that one property is good.
Okay,
It's just a matter of going through and reaffirming the fact that it was turned over
Thicket Street are you talking about?
no, 333 Lincoln Street.
but we have,
That's up by the water
but
towers.
there's 3
Okay.
properties we have to address, right, Jim?
Yes. The Thicket Street property, the Lincoln Street property, and the Thames Pond area.
Yeah, so.
Those
we-
3 should
We
be,
need to ask for assistance from town council.
Tim's Pond would be
Okay.
122 Lincoln is what you said.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm so used to calling it Tim's Pond, that's where we grew up. Well, there used to be a pond there.
All right, that's fine.
All right.
So if you need any information on the existing ones, I have everything here. I have deeds, I have copies of the articles.
Can you give us a copy, or is that your only copy?
I can give you a copy.
Why don't you give it to, we don't have it.
Well, I'll send you a copy. I'll
Yeah.
make copies of the whole packet.
Oh, all right.
All
that I
right, that would be
have
good, then
in
that way we'll have all his
So, yeah,
background.
that's right.
Yeah.
And that would help town council, because they can see the
Because
actual,
yeah,
what's
going
on the
through the legal process in the
Yeah,
Plymouth County Registry, you can go online and check just about anything you need on there.
okay, good.
Now, let me ask first of all, before we get to this next page. Is anybody looking for monetary money or any monies to take this land?
These properties that are listed, wetlands surplus for conservation review and consideration, they're all belong to the town.
They do.
When we started the surplus land committee, we had a list of 218 properties that we reviewed. We made the 5 list out of that. We extracted everything, conservation land, existing, recreation land, schools, town, municipal buildings. We separated it all out and make individual lists. What we came down with was this particular list here. It's got 58 properties listed on it. They're all on that list of surplus land, or town-owned properties.
These are all town-owned,
All those are town-owned.
considered right now surplus,
Not surplus. They're town-owned.
town-owned.
The only ones that were declared surplus are the ones that the Board of Selectmen had.
Okay, these, if the town wanted to, they could put these up for sale at this time, right now that we're talking,
No,
okay?
these cannot be put up for sale. Well, they could, if you don't want them, but they're all wet.
Okay.
So I don't know why you would want to sell.
No, listen, I'm just asking questions
The
here. to try to-
original list that we provided the Board of Selectmen had 57 properties. Those were all considered developable or usable. Do they have wetlands on them? Yes, some do. Are they subject to the Wetlands Protection Act? Some of them are. Case in point property that we declared surplus is the 14 acres up on High Street, the corner of High and Brockton Ave. There's a 14-acre strip of land there. It used to be the school property. They took it-
Oh, yeah,
They
yeah.
took it
When
years
we're gonna
ago
do
for
the
a school.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
As you get deep into the property, you find wetlands.
yeah, that was
But the
part
front portion, about the front 6 or 7 acres is developable.
Mm-hmm.
So why should we give that to conservation? Well, if you want to go before the selectmen and say, we'll take the 14 acres, we'll put an article for it, go ahead. But we were trying to get the Parks and Recs to look at it to see if they could use it for recreation land.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's the same as some of the areas at Diane Circle. There may be some areas we can create a ball field for a local area or not. That's
Well,
not my responsibility to get into, and it's
Right.
not the conservation's, deal with, but it's for them to deal with if
But
they
the
want.
thing is that there is property that we would like to see, like a hiking trail or something put in behind
you're
Diane
correct, yeah.
Circle.
There are
So
things-
Diane Circle is of interest to us, and having an upland property that enters it could be a benefit if we, if we think about
The
it.
town owns all that section of land known as Diane Circle in the back, from Jeremiah Sullivan Drive to
Okay.
Beaver Brook.
Right here. Right, Jim?
Yep,
Oh, okay, that's a circle.
I don't know here. You can use that if you want.
This is the page right here.
The green, what's in green in this map is what was recommended for conservation review. What is in pink are the remaining properties that we suggested be sold.
So Jim, everything in green here, is
Yeah.
it all wetland, or is there any upland in here? Like what, how does this look out there?
Wet.
Okay,
I remember it as a swamp.
the last
Uh,
time I've been out there, it was
As you
very
go through a
swampy.
lot of the information that I had on it,
Uh-huh,
and when you get through the process, it's rather involved. I think you got a copy of the aerial view.
Right here.
Now, that aerial view shows when the original project was bulldozed, those roads from Jeremiah Sullivan Drive back Diane Circle, going towards the brook, was where William P. Traynor bulldozed in. We won't get into that,
No, don't, please.
but you could use them as hiking trails. The portions of property behind these Jennings Drive, those homes, could be used to be added to their property. Is there wetlands there? Yes. The
So-
unfortunate
so
thing is,
Jim-
I don't know how in-depth, that picture goes back some years ago, but it shows
So-
you where everything was bulldozed.
Right, but where, this is the property we're talking about here, that,
All the way up,
all the way up?
Diane Circle is here,
Where's Diane Circle?
Diane Circle's here,
Okay,
Jeremiah Sullivan Drive, Jennings Drive.
okay.
Now, when the town ended up acquiring the property, Boston 5 Cent Savings gave the town the remaining properties. Traynor just simply didn't get along too well with the Conservation Commission at that time. That's what kind of created
So
some
this-
problems.
There's nothing built here,
Nothing there, no. Nothing in the green ones,
nothing in all
nothing in the
this.
pink ones.
But these were all set up as house lots at one
Correct.
time. But it's all wet, couldn't build it.
In the green area, you couldn't, no. You have floodplain, it's FEMA,
Okay,
and
this-
soils all cover that up.
See, this is where I'm confused. The houses that are built here, I always thought this was Diane Circle.
No, it's Jennings Drive.
These are homes built here.
When you get down in the middle, there's, I think, 3 or 4 lots that were part of the original purchase on Diane, or gift of Diane Circle.
So these are the house lots here that are existing. There's nothing behind them,
Nothing,
and these roadways could not be put in as far as you know.
as far as I know.
Okay.
And I think the planning board has gone on record saying that.
So just to clarify on these lots here,
Yep.
if we were to take these over, that would stop any development in there, if conservation were to
Well,
take over? Just in your opinion,
Don't use the word stop. Okay?
it would make it difficult.
Well, you're not gonna, it's, first of all, it's town-owned property. If, in the red ones.
Okay.
If that's gonna be the case, developed on the ends, yes, I would say let them try to build it.
Yeah, okay.
The unfortunate thing is when you get to talking about the roads there, the likeliness of putting the road in, you can't do it.
Right,
You
okay.
can't comply with all the requirements that you have today, dealing with the drainage, and existing drainage just dumps out there.
Plus it's low, yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of holes that have been dug there and just left to fill up.
So
Okay, so this,
essentially, it's landlocked land already.
Well-
Most of it.
It's-
I mean, this portion, somebody could, this road exists, right?
It's a dirt road,
Oh, it's a dirt road. Oh, never
right,
mind.
right here, yeah, just to.
So to here.
yeah.
So, there's a house here though, so
Correct.
that could probably be, I'm just looking at it, that might be accessible.
He might want it. I don't know if you can get sewer to him.
Oh, yeah. And then the other area is up here, they might be accessible up here in some shape or form. The problem is down in here. It's all, that's not gonna be much
If
used
you have a
anyway.
chance to walk out there, you'll see that it's, you got some trenches, you got a lot of debris that's been piled out there, things of this nature. The best thing to have done would probably be the abutters on Jennings Drive, purchase it to be added to their property.
And they probably enjoy that.
One of the issues that is gonna be faced is, that's an R30 zone. All those house lots are 20,000 square feet or less. So that kinda makes it an interesting situation. When Traynor built that, it was under 20,000 square feet. So now when they add this, if they bought these back lots, they would have 30,000 to comply with zoning.
Zoning.
Well, that kinda makes it an awkward situation there. And that's something that I've met, Kenny Coyle and the Board of Selectmen aware of. Now, let me go through, since we jumped from the Conservation Commission land, are you all clear on what that list represents?
This one, yes.
Yeah.
That one I think I get completely, yeah.
The last piece of property that was added for conservation and open space was the Balaka property on Mill Street, the dam.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that one.
That was the last one, that was, I think,
That was the last time I was on.
94.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's provisions within the deed that it be signed in memory of Dr. Joseph Valatka. So that's something that the commission may want to look at sometime and submit something to the CPA for identifying various conservation properties by name. And here's all, your listing of all the people who gave it, like Damon's property, Elvis Stein's property up on High Street, and a few of these others. But it's something that you people have to put through. Now, the open space study has this, with exception of the 333 Lincoln Street property. The 8 properties we did not add to it are mentioned in there. We could not confirm, find any information relative to it. So that's that particular list. On the surplus land conservation review and consideration, the first one you can not pull off the list. That's Parecki's property, 45 acres. That's in the process of being sold to the Department of Conservation and Recreation.
Oh, it is?
Yes,
That's super.
that's part of, one of the things that has been in the open space plan
Right,
going back to 1987.
that's super, because Bill added to Ames Knoll that way.
If they can complete the loop trail around.
That's awesome.
Now, the next 2 properties after that, you'll notice that we showed 2 other properties. There's one property that connects from Chestnut Street to the rear property. It's right by the brook with the chain link fences.
You know what he's talking about?
Yep.
As you go down Chestnut Street and you look on the left-hand side, you'll see a chain link fence. You just come to the brook. Well, the name of that brook is Deacon's Brook. That loops around the north side, up by the country store's pipe, and then goes up beside the second house
Oh, okay, yeah, I know where you're talking about.
up in there, and goes up towards Hendrickson's Dairy. That's called Deacon's Brook. This is where it comes down to the mill seat and where the old gravesite is down back. It's subject to the River Protection Act because it's right next to the river itself. It's in the floodplain. It's a small parcel that was subdivided originally from the other house lot. That should be placed under conservation control because that works along with the state as far as Ames Knoll State Park wanting additional lands. And the other one, Lincoln Street, Ames Knoll State Park, is, if you've ever been out in the water out there, there's a rock island. If you wanna buy an island, you can buy it.
What?
There's a large rock out in the water as you go up to the second cove. And you can see down to the power lines.
Lincoln?
Hmm?
You said Lincoln?
Linwood.
Linwood, oh, I'm
Linwood.
sorry.
That rock is, at least the assessor's office had it listed, but it's out in the middle of the pond. And it's right there.
Let's develop it.
What's the?
What's the benefit? It's a tax accessible piece of property. And
What's the conflict between the state at Ames Knoll Park and the town? No, not a conflict, but I mean just as far as where does the state stop? Where does the town stop? As far as land goes?
Ames Knoll said they'll take all the land. They wanted to buy all Parecki's property, all 145 acres.
Right.
I was on the Conservation Commission at that time when they talked about that. They wanted to buy all the property going north towards the Holbrook line. Back then, they had a trail system, the Greenbelt system, the Emerald Necklace, they had various other names, to link all these properties connecting up through to Braintree area, ACEC area, Holbrook's conservation land, all up through there. The Conservation Commission has an opportunity here to pick up on some properties that are placed under protection along the power lines. And there's one of them in there that has been determined that there's vernal pools that's been certified by the state up there.
Yeah. No, when DCR came, when I was on the board, they were looking for the town to buy it because they didn't have money either. That was the problem, is that it was a very expensive parcel.
Well, you have to go back through in history. I was with the Holbrook Sportsman's Club, and they were interested in purchasing Parecki's property. And I set up a meeting between Mr. Parecki and the Division of Forest and Parks at the time. And at that time, Mr. Parecki came up with a figure. He just pulled it out of the sky. And the state said, oh, that's too much money. I said, well, a guy owns 145 acres, you know, listen to him. He's interested, he would like it to be part of the state park. And when the town went through the process of voting to purchase it at that time, he was very happy. He was glad that the town was gonna get it, and hopefully the state would end up picking up on it too. Didn't happen, he ended up dying in the middle of it. So that was the unfortunate thing. But that's essentially the history of that
So that
particular
was the
area.
power lines, okay.
Now, the first one, as you go down, number 5, it's Brockton Ave Town Line. That's on the north side. I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
Yep, by the high tension,
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's also part of the open space plan,
yeah.
listed in that in there. The other one is Ashland Street. That's the one that connects Ashland Street to the Elva Stein property out back, a High Street property. Are you familiar with that? Elva Stein donated all that land that's behind the houses on High Street and the golf course. It's a pretty large area.
Yeah.
She donated it for the protection of the watershed. So somebody had some forethought. This is the property that was mentioned on Chestnut Street, goes along the brook, and comes down, there's actually a right-of-way that connects the back portion of the property down here into the park. And there's actually plans on it and everything too.
Wow, nice.
That's at the registry. The Rock Island. Good fishing around it. They like the yellow perch, it's a good area. Linwood Street, across from Dale's Farm. Kathy, you might remember when the Housing Authority was trying to build a group home up there.
No.
That would have been,
Jim, where is it on your list, the Linwood Street one?
Linwood Street would be, where are we here? Number 4, former school property,
Oh, way up there.
yeah.
Okay.
This is the other portion that goes out to High Street.
Oh, okay.
High Street's out here, this is Linwood here.
All right.
That also has a certified vernal pool on it.
Nice.
And that was been certified by the state. The Brockton Ave line, which is number 5. That's this one here that you're familiar with. Ashland,
On that particular map, why does it show this as Center Street?
it's Center Street in Brockton.
Oh, I'm looking at it backwards, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
It's Brockton Ave until you get to the
Until you get
Brockton
to the
line,
line.
and then they change it over,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ashland Street is the one that's right there at the river. And I believe you people had taken, the Conservation Commission back some years ago, had actually taken some enforcement action against the abutter, I believe. I guess they were altering it. Washington Street, this is right across from Dana Nash's house. There's a retention pond the state built. Goes out towards Bicknell Brook on the back. This is where the water shed area is for our town water supply. Dana Nash and the Strawberry Valley Golf Course is right up the street.
Can I see that one, Jim, for a
Yep.
sec? 'Cause, I didn't realize, the town actually owns some land. So where's Dana's house?
Right across the street.
Right across the street up
Well,
there?
actually, down a little bit,
This one?
right there.
So this is, and this is,
That's all behind Tinker's house, right?
Yeah,
huh, yeah, there are always some. Interesting, thank you.
now as we get into, let's go back to Diane Circle. I don't know if you want, I'll give you these extras. So that you have them.
Okay,
That one's a little bit easier to find.
thanks. Yeah, some nice picture for us.
Makes life easy. You want a copy too?
Oh, okay, thank you.
I get to get rid of my paperwork. So paperwork reduction, Jerry, you need to stop by sometime, I got a bunch of books.
That was my homework today, this afternoon, reading all this.
Now, on Diane Circle was donated to the town by Boston 5 Cent Savings. And it's 37 parcels that we considered wet, 18 parcels we considered upland for the selectmen. So it's split in a kind of weird way. But the committee voted all these particular lots that we showed on the plan there, that they should be, you know, under conservation protection. There's a difference between conservation protection and conservation control. Protection, you actually have a deed, and it's protected under Article 97. Article 97 is the one that has the executive office policy, which you need to become familiar with. That protects all recreation and conservation land only. The reason why you go through the process of doing your open space plan is so that you can get access to grant money that's available. Well, if you don't have it accessible and you don't fail to comply with their policy, the state says no money. So you have quite a few listed under that particular area. There's 37 parcels. I think as you go through the process, there's actually 156 acres, including the 45 that the state's buying. They'll all fall into that.
You said there was some upland on Diane, and as I'm looking at this, it comes right through to number 57, starting at 38, follow that around, I understand that.
If you follow the line, the green area in the map,
Yep,
those are all the ones we recommended for conservation review. The ones that are in red or pink are the ones that we suggested to the Board of Selectmen that they declare surplus and possibly sell as upland.
And Jim, I noticed that you actually seem to have some wetlands delineation in here. Where did you get that from?
That came from Oliver, online, state
Oh,
DEP.
this write-up too, or what was,
Let's see what
you've
that
got like
one.
TO4, oh, it's from the open space, never
Yeah.
mind, that's where it came.
That's the open space
But
references.
here's the Oliver, if you guys wanna, you can always take a look, but he's overlaid it for us.
Now, the thing about Oliver, when they do the mapping, it's very, very vague.
It's only.
minimal.
It's based on vegetation and is only based on larger areas, so that you still need to
You sti-
field
They still have to be field verified, but if you talk to the state about it and you ask questions, they'll tell you that it's approximate. And it's usually a lot more, but it just gives you a rough boundary.
Okay. All right, I got it. Okay.
Then you have Chestnut Street up on the power lines.
Jim, you have Jeremiah Sullivan Drive.
Yep,
Where's that?
right here.
right
It's-
behind Jennings Drive.
Where, oh, it's behind, oh,
See, this
I
is,
didn't,
well, I
okay.
was confused here.
Oh, okay,
See,
thank
like, for
you.
instance, number 50 is Jeremiah, see number 50 here?
Thank you, perfect.
Which is number 36 on,
Uh-huh.
number 36 is number 50. And then
Yeah.
51 is Jeremiah, and then it goes back to 55 is Diane,
Oh, okay,
which
thank
would
you.
be, and I was looking at that, I finally figured that out. It was-
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
That's why that green mark is very good,
Yes.
that's how we,
Oh, yeah.
that's how we separated it.
really.
Okay, thank you.
But like I say, I mean, the ideal thing is, like I say, the old Google map shows a lot of that, and it's funny how you go back in years, how a lot of things come to mind. I spent a lot of time out there. So now we go up to the power lines, there's a triangular piece up there, that's where the vernal pool is. That's town-owned, that was one of, originally it was one of Mr. Trainer's properties. The same thing on that, it has the wetlands.
So, Jim, are we only talking about this little triangle portion?
Well, that's one of them.
Okay, up the Chestnut Street, okay.
Yep. And as you get into it, there's the wetlands mapping. This is one from DEP. on that particular area. Now, their overlay shows the area of the endangered species up there.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yes. There's another one on Chestnut Street below that.
Do you have that one? Oh, you do. Okay, I look at yours. No, you have the same one I do.
That'd be the one on the right-hand side of the power lines, or the east side.
Do you guys have that other one? I have this one, Jim. Do you guys have the,
I want to-
That's the first one we went through.
yeah, I don't think we necessarily have the other Chestnut Streets. We're looking for.
I think what I had given you was probably the three of them all together in one packet.
Just the one,
This is the packet right here.
I got a deed. I got a deed. There's a picture.
This is the way it comes up, like this, Kathy.
Yeah, but I don't
Which one is it? Jim?
show it.
This one?
Shows the three parcels
One
together.
or-
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know if it's highlighted on it.
no, it's not. Yeah, well,
The small one is.
yeah. What,
Rocklands,
is this Cushing
or
Pond?
maybe Rocklands.
That's Cushing's
Makes
Pond.
sense,
Yeah,
Rockland?
those months,
Oh, here's Lincoln
All the
Street.
way
All
outside.
around it. They own the dam too.
they all passed the power lines on the other side. I couldn't believe it. When
The
I-
state
I
wanted, the state
saved-
wanted to purchase that property. They wanted to buy all of it.
When I was doing, I had to go on Google, and I couldn't, I looked, I go,
I
oh
don't
my
think we
God,
have it.
up past the pound to, well,
Yeah.
the house out there was
Rockland Center
a
Street,
classmate of mine,
Pickett.
John Clancy.
This one has a package of
The
a bunch.
one's been banned for years.
Just looking
They,
to see. if we-
apparently, they negotiated
Maybe it's-
through the Parecki heirs to purchase that particular parcel.
Well, we
Yeah, I
never
got that
wrote
one.
about it.
yeah, but I don't have the
We don't
three.
have, we don't have
Okay,
those.
that's one that's missing, so I'll get that to you.
Yeah, I don't
But
think we had.
those
either
three
Chestnut.
parcels are at the same time, they're tax titled,
Uh-huh.
and I'll say Vineyard Road for a while. So let's go through the process. Diane, circle any questions of what was presented in the packet there?
No, got
The
it.
map that's listed in green is what was recommended for conservation.
Mhm.
And as you go through the open space plan from 2015, you'll see where Old Colony Planning Council makes various reference to this.
Mhm.
The town has done nothing with this property since way back when.
Mhm.
So here's a good opportunity to move something forward. You can put trails through there or whatever you want through there. You could use the old roads probably.
Well, you know, our thought was, the brook is back there.
Mhm.
And we have, there's a shortcut through the woods to get to Ames Knoll through there, but our thought was some kind of,
I don't know if you want to call it a shortcut, but it's pretty rough going through there.
yeah, people use it. But, we were thinking about somehow connecting
Yeah.
that area to Ames Knoll at some point, it's sort of,
The Beaver Brook
Yeah.
corridor.
yeah. So that could be something, we could consider,
On the other side of Beaver Brook, that's Brockton Conservation Commission.
right,
I had received information from Caroline Stone back years ago on all their land.
right.
And that goes all the way up through there.
Yeah, it just seems like we have such a great resource in the state park.
Yeah.
That connecting it to some of the property.
Anything
beyond
along
long-term.
Beaver Brook would be good to acquire and put under conservation care, custody, and control to lock it up and protect it from anything going on.
Mhm.
By doing that and have it deeded to the Conservation Commission, you have access to more resources, primarily money and things of this nature.
Yeah, so if somebody
That's-
has the will, we could
That's,
go after grant money.
well, most of the tax title properties that we've gone through and reviewed, people either donated to the conservation because they knew they couldn't build on it, and there's quite a few of them like that, or just simply let it go. They didn't do anything with it. There are some key parcels in town that the Conservation Commission probably should take a careful look at and pursue getting to put under conservation control. Because sooner or later, the state's gonna be, or the federal government's gonna be requiring you to, for stormwater management and things of this nature. One in Case Point, Damon's Pontiac, right across the street, where you have the bridge abutment.
Mhm.
Freddie Bowser still owns a small little piece of land in there. Can't do anything with it because you got the river running through it. You don't really want to start talking and say, hey, want to sell it to the town? Why don't you just donate it to the town?
Mhm.
That'd be the ideal thing. But some people just don't have the grasp on that particular process. Norman Walsh up on Rockland Street did that. He donated the property to the land, but did not necessarily donate it to conservation.
That's this property at the bottom?
Yeah.
Where's that, Jim, on Rockland Street?
As you go down, it's between the houses, you get that vacant strip of land.
Yeah.
On the north side, you have, the name of the project escapes me, but you have there's a retention pond there. That was, who the heck was it?
Where are you?
Going down Rockland Street, as you come to that wet area on the right-hand side, that's all part of the retention project for when that project was built. That's how we ended up with that property.
Oh, there's a house, yeah, there's a house just after it, I know
Just
exactly.
after
yeah,
what that was,
the
they
lower part
filled
of
in.
Rockland Street, yeah, yeah.
And DEP, we had to go around years ago on that, DEP says, take them to court, you can have a house torn down. And everyone just said, I'm not gonna say anything.
Now, the only thing that I, just conversation, of course, the town, like the assessor and so forth and so on, they hate giving up the tax dollars for donated land.
The unfortunate thing is when you have a parcel of land that you cannot get planning board approval, zoning board approval, or conservation commission approval, what do you do with it?
Right,
The unfortunate thing is these people who own these parcels gave it up for taxes.
yep,
By going through the process and coming to the Conservation Commission saying, hey, I have this parcel of land that I can't do anything with. I've been denied zoning, planning, and all these other, permits. Would the Conservation Commission like the land? Conservation Commission votes on it, yes, we'll accept the donation. They issue a deed to the town, and away you go.
Right, and in the end, it's not gonna be gathering
The town,
any
I
tax
think the
money
town
either.
actually saves money, because they don't have to go through the process of going to court, tax title, and everything else.
Okay. So those are, is it more than one property on Rockland Street?
There's a
Jim?
couple, there's,
Because I only have, I was just looking, I have a packet on the front of it that says Rockland Street. Lots, here, never mind.
there's actually
74.
four lots.
Okay, 74A and 74B is this one. And then,
Hang on, let me get to Rockland Street.
71, 72.
there's that sheet.
That's across the street, and you look through the back, it's the
Just
pond.
mixed up is all.
This is Rockland Street as we look at it. This is Norman Walsh's property.
Don't know who he is.
Norman Walsh used to work for the schools
Okay,
years
yeah.
ago.
Oh, it's landlocked, look at
Yeah.
that.
It's landlocked, he divided his property. And it's wet,
Okay,
but there's a high little spot there, it's not completely wet, it's a little bit of dryness in there, but you can't develop, you can't get to it.
But is this near Mel DeLue's house?
I don't know who.
Oh, no,
He's up,
the
he's up.
Walsh's house was,
there's the.
Norman's the one that's in the back. As you turn from Hancock Street down Rockland,
some,
Oh,
yeah,
did you?
on the left-hand
Yeah,
side.
you do that, I should have.
yeah, and then McSherry put a house.
Yeah. And then
That's
there's
it,
this
that's
one.
his property.
Yeah,
These are
exactly, all right, thank you.
Oh, I think-
Lots, but,
Oh, that's Lincoln Street, yeah. This is another Rockland Street.
yeah.
So there's three.
And the other ones are the two lots out in front, right off of Rockland Street, this side by side. This one's deeded,
So you have this yellowed, but it's these two, Jim?
that one, yeah,
Okay,
that one's, well, there's actually three of them. One's deeded, and the other two are tax title.
okay. All right.
I only have 74A and B.
This was in one of my packets,
I
buried in,
don't have 71 and
This
70.
one was
71 and
buried.
72, those are the two.
but it's these two, not that one.
No, I have. Yeah,
That one there is 71, 74A and
This is 74A
74B.
and B, yep.
Yeah, in one of my
And
other
this one here is
packets, it was
71 and
buried.
It's on the
72.
back
All
side.
right, I'll find it. I'm sure it's in there.
Yeah, it's probably. in
There's a
there.
lot of information to digest. What
How
else
far,
suggests
how
you
far
go?
down on Rockland Street confuses me sometimes, because where would Hancock
This house is
Street be?
developed, this land is not, and this is the back land
Yeah, but where would, let's say, where would Hancock Street be?
down up here,
Okay, so we're talking the lower part.
Linwood Street.
Okay.
As you get down to the bottom.
Yep,
Okay,
It's right across the street
from that wetlands.
from the wetlands area, where the
Okay.
retention pond is.
Yeah.
The pond-
Right close to, what is it, Catherine? street or something? Catherine?
Couple houses in between there, yes.
Oh, wait a second, are we talking these three right here?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
that's right, front of
Okay.
John Rockland Street.
Let's see.
All right, I get it now.
But as you go through the process and review them and decide if you want to go any further, let me know and I'll make sure you have everything. Copies of any plans, any maps and things of that nature. Because like I said, there's a lot of information. Don't try to digest it all at one particular time because you won't be able to do it. And one that's dear to me is Vineyard Road.
Well, since I live on that street,
We're waiting for that.
we're waiting, and you're waiting for Oakdale.
This piece of property, well, down the street from you has a long history.
Oh, yeah, with the hotel in there?
The Blackstone, the Keystone Hotel was dumped in there.
Wow.
Uh-huh, Carista.
It goes,
I do remember that. And that was before I even moved here.
that created a big situation.
So,
But you have two front lots that if you go down and look at from the road, there's no way that you can build on it. Kathy can tell you what her backyard's like. If you read the
mine's
deed
fine. My neighbor's
for
is.
Vineyard Farm, that whole back area there goes all the way to the Weymouth line. You'll read things like Cedar Swamp, Shore, and some of the water, and it's spelled out in the deed. So that's kind of interesting, but the town ended up with it from the Massachusetts Farm Bureau. I don't know why they ended up with it or how they ended up with it, I just know that they did.
So Jim, was any of this property, were you able to carve anything off from this property that we got? Because I don't know how far it goes.
Vineyard Road,
Yeah, the Vineyard Road property?
it's quite extensive. Now, I'm gonna show you an aerial.
Right,
This one here shows it better because it's a picture frame. But everything you see in the gray area there, it's kind of grayish. That's wetlands.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing about aerial photography that shows up nice. You have this particular area going into Weymouth, it's all wet. This area over here is Farmer Blueberry Farm.
and that connects to that big hole in the ground back there.
Yes.
Sorry, it's
No.
not a wetland, it's a wetland, but it's not really a pond, but it kinda is.
But it connects along the Abington-Weymouth line on the top. The access to it, planning board requires 750 feet for any type of cul-de-sac. Can't access it from anywhere. You can't develop it.
Actually, they can only where Whitman Body Works is, because Helm Street stops, but the
Yep.
town actually has access on that Helm Street, because I own property on that.
Yeah, but how are you gonna build in the swamp?
Oh, no, you can't, but I'm saying as far as access, that's the only,
Access point. The only access points is off these streets, the end of Vineyard Road where it meets into Dale
right, and
by Walitsky's property.
the one I was just talking about, that Whitman Body Works is, it stops right at the wetlands.
Yeah.
Right there.
But it goes all the way on the line.
Right,
All the way
it's
up.
really wet back here, because my dog's gotten lost a few times, so we've had to go get her. It's disgusting back there.
This is all,
this is-
Goronski's used to own a piggery up in this area here.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
And then Kaliakos had a piggery over in this
Right,
area.
and this is pretty wet at the end of Vineyard as well, right?
Yes.
So.
Now, that's also, there's some property in there too, but because you have the river and a strip of land, in our thinking, we left the 750 feet, which didn't give you too far out to get up there, of parcels that were in there, and made a decision or declared them upland.
Where'd you declare them upland?
Off the end of Dale Street,
Yep,
750, approximately 750 feet.
I'm just curious, just for, so as we understand.
That would be,
See, I have Vineyard. Because then, and
probably this would be the best way to show it. On this one here,
yeah,
that's all the parcels together. All these parcels on the left-hand side are the top edge. That would be all up in here that's not developable and connects over to,
okay, Jim, where's Vineyard? This is Vineyard?
yep,
Okay, so this is,
that's where you get to Dale.
that's where you get to Dale.
In order to develop those parcels of land, you would have to build a cul-de-sac or a road. You can only use 750 feet of it,
Right here.
so you're not gonna get too far. Whether or not you can get access for sewer and everything else, that's a good question.
But did they declare these surplus, or what did they do?
Yes.
They declared this piece surplus right here.
The ones that the town had, that were town-owned, yes.
So this yellow piece and all these yellow pieces are considered wetlands.
Recommended wetlands.
Now, this one, this one, this one, and this one, all the clear ones are all
The
surplus?
clear ones are privately owned.
Oh, these ones here are all
Yep.
privately owned? So it's just these three?
Yep, the frontage,
Okay. So it would go back, it's basically.
750 feet.
Like Beaver, you'd have to go behind, basically Beaver Lane and
Yep.
create a road?
Yep.
Okay. No, I'm just curious. And yeah, I would agree, the access here, if you drive by on Vineyard, you can see it, there's a wooded area past where the first set of houses is, and it's really wet in there.
Very wet. But the
And-
thing, it connects with the other parcel that Caliaco owns on the other side, Farmer
Yeah.
Blueberry
Just,
Farm.
this is just going from memory, I'm not sure whether I'm right or wrong. Wasn't somebody gonna try to buy part of this property from the town to do some reclamation work or something so they could build in Weymouth? No, okay,
I went to all the meetings in Weymouth had
Okay.
between the conservation and planning. The reasoning being is up in that particular area, the watershed goes two different ways, particularly up on Caliaco's property. And if you go through the records, you probably should have a set of plans from the Weymouth development that reflect that. But it's never was reclamation. There was never any talks of reclamation.
Yeah, no, I just, for some reason, I had heard that somebody from Weymouth wanted to develop something in Weymouth, and they wanted to buy some of this from the town of Abington for whatever, I don't, it just,
Well, I think it might be, actually, they might be talking about the Blueberry property over here. I don't, because that's,
Well, Caliaco's property has been deeded to the Abington Conservation Commission.
over here.
Yeah,
this has been, and
Yeah.
that may be what they were
No,
looking at.
this was, going, this goes over to
Over on Mount
Thicket
Airy.
Street over here somehow, and this is just what I
no,
heard.
none of the property on Vineyard Road connects to Thicket Street,
No.
It doesn't.
none of it.
Uh-uh.
Caliaco's property is right in the middle of it.
Okay.
You know where Frank
doesn't-
Makowitz used to
doesn't
live?
this-
Where Frank Makowitz used to live is
Okay.
it connected directly, and he actually
This
owns
is-
some
this-
property in Weymouth.
This is Route 18.
On the back area, yeah.
In the back area.
Yeah.
That may be what you're thinking of.
Okay, I just heard something about that they had all this acreage behind there.
It's a large parcel of land, and because Mr. Christo was afforded the agricultural exemption back then, why, I don't know. But that's when the Massachusetts Farm Bureau ended up with it. I had talked to the Farm Bureau to find out if there's any restrictions or anything, and there's nothing, it's free and clear. But there's a deed on that that can very easily be executed and turned over for Conservation Commission if that's what the town wants to decide.
So Oakdale is these parcels here, Jim?
Yep.
Okay, just to be clear, the parcel,
Oakdale Street went all the way
Oh, wait.
down to
Over.
the end.
right, it
And
doesn't
the unfortunate
exist.
thing is there's been a few houses that have been built in there that break it up and prevent it from being developed. I don't know what the final story was, but we looked at it and said, well, the best thing you do is build 750 foot long with a cul-de-sac. The unfortunate thing is you can't do that in some of these areas.
Right, well, then somebody would have to double check that it's actually buildable.
Yeah.
Because I know people have looked at that over the years, and it just never has gotten built on,
Yeah.
for whatever reason. But if the town owns it now, maybe it will.
Like I say, all these everything that you
Sell
see
it.
listed in all these properties, and when you see the blank ones up there, everything that's on the list is all town-owned.
Okay,
So the benefits, like I say, of, turning it over to the Conservation Commission is grant money.
right. So do you, I guess for, the first question I have for you, Jim, is for town meeting. Do you need something from us about the interest before town
I
meeting?
don't need anything.
The surplus committee doesn't?
This ball is in your court.
Okay, I'm just making sure, we're all set. These properties aren't going on the surplus land
No,
list.
no.
So we don't have to deal with that.
You don't have enough time to get anything on this annual town meeting anyhow.
Right.
Right.
What I would do is take this You people are in charge of the open space plan.
Mhm.
And if the regular committee was still meeting, it would be the perfect place to put this and get recommendations. There's so much here to digest. What I would suggest that you nibble at it, take pieces, and discuss them to find out if they're valuable. Mike, you know, I sent you 2 emails pertaining to Diane Circle and Vineyard Road, because they're 2 large, big pieces. It would take a long time to go through and understand everything there is to it.
Mhm.
But those would be that hard to turn over, you know, care, custody, and control of the Conservation Commission if town meeting voted that way.
So that's the process, is we have to get town meeting to vote it first.
Go through the process, determine whether or not you want it or not for your conservation purposes. If you want it for conservation protection, the next step would be to go through and put an article before a town meeting and let them vote. Once they vote, then you go through and have a deed executed under conservation care, custody, and control.
So these ones have already been voted at town meeting, the ones that are
With
messed
exception of
up?
those- exception of the ones-
Those 3 haven't been voted at town meeting?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, no, they've been voted,
So this one just needs the legal
Needs the
guys
legal
to
work.
take care of it.
right,
This list, we need to get first, the vote for town meeting after we review it.
after you go through and determine which ones you would like, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Now, a question for you on the CPA is whether or not the Conservation Commission could get funds for legal fees to go through and help them.
I am not sure. I
But
might
that-
have
that's
to
some-
ask. We
that's
might have to
something-
ask, I can ask there's a community preservation organization we can write to and just ask,
That'd be something, you know, to present that question,
because that could,
if you can get money for legal fees and go through this process. Some of them would be that habit, you get recording of deeds and legal review to make sure you get good, clear title. And that's the only time I think you would need to bring on, you know, town council to help you through that
you know,
particular
we're gonna
process.
need it to
So
start
that
here.
would be,
That'd be easy to go through, because it's a small process. The town has already voted and demonstrated
So
what they
this one,
wanted to
that'll
do.
be easy. This list will be harder.
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
if, the legal fees being such that we could do the process of getting this before town meeting, and then the financial would be hiring the lawyer to change the deeds over. That would be,
to have a deed executed.
yes.
I don't know how tax title deeds work. What's involved to have the, you know, actually selling it to the Conservation Commission. So that's a question you would have to pose to
That's
them.
what I'm wondering, because the town already owns it and we're part of the town. I'm wondering, I'm sure there's some kind of process that has to be done.
They've gone through the process of town meeting votes.
Yep.
It just doesn't sit there as a town meeting vote. You execute the deed so that it becomes protected under Article 97.
Okay.
And that's paramount. That's key to protecting the property.
And long-term, it will be, whether or not we as a board right now decide to do anything with the property, but once somebody does decide to ask for a grant or something, it will be huge.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the issue.
I mean, it fits in perfectly with the open space plan that you've had.
Yeah.
And I, like I said, I go back with it since 1987.
Yeah.
And that's when we ended up buying the golf course.
You guys did a lot of work.
There's a lot of information here. I mean, digging through the registry to get a lot of the, you know, what was deeded and what's tax title. And as you go through on the right-hand side, you'll see plot that says D. The town has a D to it. It has a double T, it's tax title.
What, okay, tax title means what?
The town sees the property for non-payment of
Okay, thank you.
taxes.
Just wanted to make sure that's what you
Yep.
meant. Okay.
And like I said, that's 99.9 of the time, the owner just said, I can't develop it, I'm not gonna pay taxes on it, I can't sell it, can't get rid of
And if
it.
he gives it to the town, he gets a tax credit, so it's.
If they did go through that process, yeah, they would get a tax credit.
Do you wanna ask our audience member if he has any questions?
Have you any questions for it? Wanna come up? Come up here.
Thank you.
Welcome to town.
Yeah, thank you. No, like I said, I came to town last week.
And you said you were from?
I moved from Quincy, and originally I'm from New Hampshire. And my wife and I, we bought a property on Central Street near the Rockland line. So I just wanted to kind of, see what the Conservation Commission does, what kind of business you guys had, and get involved in my town.
Oh, So do we have an associate's position open anymore?
If you read chapter 40, section 8C, you can have as many people as associate members as you want. You can have hundreds if you want. What they do is they do the legwork for the Conservation Commission. There is no official title associate member. That's a misnomer that's been going on for a long time. You don't need to be sworn in either.
What we're regular members appointed by the selectmen, but we often have associate members who take, you get to come to meetings and you get to participate, you just don't get to vote, but you also get to learn about the board before you're on it, which is actually kind of nice.
Sure.
So if you have an interest, please let us know, and we'll ask the selectmen if
Yeah.
we can. I think if we just get them appointed, that would be simpler. If you're
Yeah, sounds-
interested, just
sounds
write.
Just write a letter to the
Just write a-
selectmen
write a
and ask.
select-
Right,
yeah.
the selectmen, you're
Interested.
interested,
Yeah.
We would love to
associate
have.
member, because I have one, two open, right?
Yeah, we do,
I
because
think
one of
one-
Mary
one
Ellen's
just
is
resigned,
pregnant.
didn't
she? Yeah,
She's
she's
pregnant, so I think it's a bit much. But if you're interested, and, you don't have to decide tonight, but
Thank
since
you
you're
for
here.
putting me on the spot. It's all-
But what we do is, we actually, we're about protecting the wetlands in town, and so there's a whole set of regulations that and people apply, we review their applications, and, try to figure out how best they can work with the property.
I'll
But
just
this
tell
is
you-
about open space.
For my behalf, this has cleared up a lot of things I didn't understand on what was going on.
Well, when I sent out those emails, one of the problems is the chairman of the selectmen at that time, and Alex Wazanson stepped in. We have what the charge was. We were supposed to communicate with the various boards. That was what our charge was.
Yes.
And when you said you're too busy, and what the hoo-ha that came up around that, I'm sitting there going,
Well, see, what happened was, it was kind of a conflict. The selectmen didn't want to lose control of anything, and we were in a situation where it looked like we were gonna have to spend money. The conservation has no money.
and the thing is, all these properties that you look at, they're all town-owned.
Yeah, now we know that.
They just need to be determined. The primary intent was for us to go through and review it, to see how many properties we get back on the tax roll. Some parcels are small, some are fairly large, some have unique circumstances.
I think that was part of, when I was talking to some people, that they were saying that, well, before you do anything, be careful, we might be able to sell that land and get it back on the tax roll, and kind of caught in the middle a little bit without knowing.
That's why we went through this entire process of getting every information we could.
Yeah, no, you
As far
didn't.
as wetlands, the soils, the FEMA floodplain, all that information to make our decisions on. The list that we recommended is essentially 100% wetlands
Just-
that we created here. The list that we gave the Board of Selectmen to declare surplus and sell has parcels that may be abutting or have small areas that are wet. Not necessarily the whole parcel, but if they try to develop it, they would have to go through the process and file a notice of intent. And I'll give you the prime example again, High Street, that particular property there, right there in the corner. It's a 14-acre parcel. Not all of it is upland, but a large percentage of it is, so why go through, if we can get them to buy the 14 acres and they still pay taxes on it, that's fine.
Sure.
You know.
Do you have any questions for us?
You answered one of my questions, which was that, you guys don't really have a budget dedicated to acquiring conservation land, is that correct?
That is correct.
That's correct.
There's a process now where taxes, part of your tax dollars are going into a fund that the town is using to fund certain projects and so forth. That, you're on that committee, right?
The Community Preservation.
Preservation Act, I'm the conservation representative, and there's a percentage of our, real estate tax and some of the fees down in the registry that is fed back to the town, plus the town takes a percentage of our taxes out, but we, every fall, we go through a round of applications. So, I've been talking about conservation, what do we need to buy something,
Yeah,
or
right.
what do we need money for? I mean, the legal fees make perfect sense as a first step for some of this stuff, but, if we do see a property that we wanna buy, there is some money there. It might not be all the money
I
we
don't
need.
think there's any properties in town that the Conservation Commission needs to go out and actively try to buy.
I
We
think
already have
You know, I mean, you have a good
But I think
grasp on what's already there.
developing
Beaver
hiking
Brook.
trails and developing some of these locations, we have some nice parcels.
That money has to be used for specific things, for recreation or for
Park-
senior
Open,
housing.
there's senior house, it's housing.
Yeah,
Historic.
Historical, and,
Historic.
it's
Elderly.
open space
Mhm.
and, recreation, or there's 3 categories. And so, we've done things like, we've given money to upgrade the playground, Griffin's Dairy, which we bought a while ago, they've been developing trail systems, so they've done phase 1, they're gonna do phase 2 next year, and phase 3 is coming, so we're funding that as well.
And
that
that's
kinda
part
stuff.
of the open spaces plan?
It's, that was part of the open space plan, but they have a Griffin's Dairy committee who's doing that. So people come, different groups come. Somebody asked to put lights on the pickleball court behind the senior center. The bridge to go over to the music area where, right now it got metal plates on it, so they can actually drive vehicles over it.
One project you might want to keep in the back of your mind, the Valaka property. You have Mill Dam, or Hunts Pond Dam. And if you read the report on it, the Brockton side fails. So there's some issues there that need to be addressed. I have been in there since Brockton put the gate or the fencing along the road. You can't pull in there anymore. But it'd be a nice place to get possibly the Boy Scouts in there to do work with you. But all the trees along the dam or on the dam and the downside slope should all be removed. It's not conducive of good management. But that's a case where you might be able to develop a project with the city of Brockton, with their conservation commission, and get a joint grant to do some work up there.
I think we have
Working
to
along
pick
with dam
something.
safety.
I think we have to pick one project at a time because we're
That's a
all
long,
volunteers.
drawn-out one.
Yeah, and I think we have to pick
Yeah,
whatever,
our
some
first thing will be
consensus, get these properties squared away perhaps.
Squared away, and then pick our projects as we
Pick
go.
our projects, and as we go through this, we're probably gonna get more familiar
Yeah.
with the other
Oh, well,
projects that are out there.
as we go along, we'll get more, like you said,
Right.
get familiar with it and have more knowledge on everything we're
Yeah,
trying to do.
this has been very helpful though, Jim.
Yeah,
Thank you
Jimmy,
very much.
really-
Thank your committee for doing this,
Now-
and you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Now, if you want the plans for the Ames Knoll State Park Dam, let me know, because I got them. Never filed a notice of intent, never filed a notice for the town. They just went up there and built it.
built it.
I remember
So I got
approving.
the pitches, and I got the plans, and I talked to the crane operator, and I was working for the town of Holbrook at the time.
Oh, wow.
And
That was after.
I had a lot of fun with them. But if you want the plans, I probably should give you the plans to put them on file, so that you have record of it.
Great. Do you have any other questions for us?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Just
you.
wanna make sure
Thank you
you.
guys.
So go through the process. If there's any information you need, more information that I might have, I'll go through the process of those other ones, review it, nibble at it. Like I say, you get until next year if you want to go through the process.
Can this go to the special town meeting? Just the annual.
I think you'd really want it to go before the annual town meeting. You better, because you get the majority of the town to vote on
Right,
it.
Yeah.
And I think everything else has always gone to the annual town meeting.
okay, just a question.
But now you can tell the
Very
selectmen that you reviewed it, you're in the process of deliberating, and working towards 2019.
There you go. Yep.
But there's a lot there, I mean, it's not gonna go anywhere.
No,
The land's, either tax title or deeded. There's no rush to do anything, it's just, it fills in with the open space plan.
beautiful.
Nice.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate your time.
Great job,
And
great
thank you
job.
for coming.
Keep
That's us.
keep as many as you want.
Oh, I can have that,
Yeah.
thank you, appreciate it.
That's what I made them for. I made the list in different colors too.
I work here for an asset management firm.
You want the colors? Just let me know if there's anything else you want.
All right,
All right,
Jim, thank you.
thanks. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. May I keep
Okay.
these?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
You're all set. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks
Have
for
a
your
good
interest.
evening, and thank you again for.
Thanks.
All right,
Thank you.
okay. Enjoy the town.
Thank you.
What's next, Jerry?
What's next? Correspondence. Any correspondence?
I don't think there was any.
All right, building permits, any site visits I made, there was no conservation involved. In the minutes, have everybody read the minutes of
I
March?
make a motion to approve
26th.
the minutes of March 26th.
I second it.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
You weren't here. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'd
We
like
could-
to, one question
Oh.
before we close. Did anyone go up and take a look at the Powers property?
No, I was gonna call you, but I never did.
Okay.
I have,
No, it's starting to dry out a little bit, it'll probably
Yeah.
be easier.
Yeah, it's starting to dry out
Yeah.
now, so.
yeah, well, this weekend's supposed to be, well,
Yeah.
rain by Friday.
Yeah,
it's a-
So, yeah.
Saturday, Sunday's supposed to be.
Let us know if, just email us and let
Yeah.
us know if you're going.
Yeah, who did I see? I saw one of them in the last 2 weeks.
All right.
All right,
All right,
Very
let
good.
us know,
All right.
Jared.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion, make adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Good.